Jack Harlan's boots crunched on the gravel of the county impound lot, the summer sun baking the Texas asphalt into a shimmering haze. He'd scraped together exactly $30, his last from odd jobs hauling scrap, and now the auctioneer banged his gavel. Sold to the fella in the faded cap for $30. Jack's heart slammed against his ribs. That box truck, license plates long expired, rusted shell abandoned after some long-haul mystery, was his. No one else bid, no one cared. He circled the beast slowly, jeers tracing the dented panels. 40 feet of steel, cargo doors sealed with chains he'd cut later. Jack was 42, divorced, living in a single-wide trailer on the outskirts of Lubbock, with a fridge that hummed more than cooled. Construction gigs dried up after the recession. Now it was dumpster dives and pawn tools. This truck, a gamble. Fix it up, flip it for parts, maybe haul again, or nothing. His calloused hands gripped the ladder rungs, peering through grimy windows at shadows inside. Something felt off, heavy, unbalanced, like it carried secrets under the floor. Hey, if this tale's got you hooked on Jack's desperate bet, smash that subscribe button, share with a friend who's chasing their own long shot, and drop a comment below. Where are you watching from today? Sweat beaded on his forehead as he drove it home that afternoon, the engine coughing like an old smoker, but holding. Parked behind his trailer, he wedged a crowbar into the rear doors. They screeched open, revealing emptiness. Dust bunnies, a forgotten tire iron, faded shipping manifests yellowed with age. Jack exhaled, shoulders slumping. Junk. But as he climbed aboard, flashlight beam slicing the gloom, his boot thudded against the plywood floor, solid, too solid. He knelt, tapping sections. Front half rang hollow under pressure. No, deeper echo here. Prybar slipped under a seam, wood splintered with a crack that echoed in the empty bay. Beneath lay another layer, metal sheeting welded tight, camouflaged as subfloor. Jack's pulse raced. What kind of hauler hides a false bottom? Smugglers, heiresses ditching fortunes. His mind spun wild theories, but reality bit harder. Cops auctioned this from a bust 2 years back, details sealed. No paperwork mentioned extras. He fetched his welder from the shed, sparks flying as he sliced the weld. Minutes stretched into an hour, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows across the lot. The panel lifted with a groan. Inside gleamed black velvet pouches, dozens stacked neat in foam cradles. Jack's breath caught. He unzipped one. Diamonds, raw, uncut, sparkling like captured stars under his beam. Not costume junk, real industrial grade, the kind cartels or syndicates moved quiet across borders. He grabbed a handful, cold fire in his palm, poured them back, hands shaking. How many? He counted pouches, 52. Each held thousands. Appraisals later would peg the haul at $298 million street value. His trailer payment? Forgotten. Rent? Irrelevant. But triumph curdled fast. Footsteps crunched outside, his neighbor Earl peering over the fence with squinting eyes. "What you got there, Harlan? Sounded like you struck oil." Jack slammed the panel down, heart hammering. Lie? Brag? Earl was nosy, mouthy, owed money to rough types downtown. One word, and this fortune became a target. Jack forced a grin. "Just scrap metal, Earl. Nothing but rust." The older man shrugged, wandered off, but doubt lingered. Who knew about this truck originally? The auction logs? Feds? Night fell heavy, crickets chirping a tense chorus. Jack chained the doors triple thick, slept with a bat by his bed. Dreams twisted, faceless men in suits knocking, whispers of ownership papers surfacing. Morning brought clarity, or paralysis. Cell quiet. Fence through contacts in Houston, or turn it in, play hero for a dare's cut. Greed clawed deep. He'd earned this twist of fate. But shadows moved. A black SUV idled across the street at dawn, tinted windows watching. Coincidence? Jack's gut screamed no. He fired up the truck's engine, diamonds humming beneath his feet like a bomb. Time to vanish, or fight. if Jack's windfall has you on edge. Hit subscribe now for the twists ahead. Like this video, share your craziest "What if I found it" story in the comments and tell us your spot. From Texas dust to city lights. Tommy Harlan gripped the truck's rusted door handle tighter, his calloused jeers slick with sweat despite the dry Texas heat seeping through the cracks. The false bottom yawned open like a secret mouth, revealing row after row of velvet pouches glinting under his flashlight beam, each one heavy, unnaturally so for what looked like polished stones, diamonds, if his gut screamed right. $298 million, the appraiser's hushed whisper had echoed in his mind from that frantic online search last night. But now, alone in the dim garage behind his trailer, doubt clawed at him. Were they real, or just fancy glass from some bankrupt jeweler's scam? He'd snagged the box truck at a county auction for $30, outbidding a couple of scrappers with nothing but a nod and a crumpled bill. Abandoned on the roadside for months, plates long gone, it smelled of old freight and desperation. Tommy needed it for his side hustle, hauling scrap metal to keep the lights on after the mill laid him off, but prying up those warped floorboards last evening? That changed everything. A metallic scrape, a hollow thud, and there it was. Compartments hidden beneath layers of grime, packed tight. His pulse hammered as he scooped one pouch into his palm. The stones caught the light, fracturing it into rainbows that danced on the oil-stained concrete. Tommy wasn't no expert, but he'd watched enough late-night docs to know clarity like this didn't come cheap. He paced the garage, boots crunching peanut shells from his last beer break. Sell them? Fence a few quietly? The thought twisted his insides. Who'd believe a broke-down 45-year-old like him stumbled on this? Cops. They'd seize it all, call it evidence from some vanished heist. Feds? Worse. His ex-wife's voice echoed in his head, mocking his pipe dreams from their divorce papers. Outside, a coyote yipped in the scrub brush, snapping him back. Paranoia prickled his neck hairs. Was that a shadow flitting past the chain-link fence? Just the wind-rustling mesquite branches, he told himself, but he double-checked the padlock anyway. Tommy grabbed his phone, thumbs hovering over a black market forum he'd bookmarked in a haze of what-ifs. No. Too risky. Instead, he drove to Rusty's pawn shop at dawn, the truck rumbling like a guilty confession down empty back roads. Rusty, a grizzled vet, with one eye on the till and the other on suckers, squinted at the single loose stone Tommy slid across the counter. "Where'd a hayseed like you get this?" Rusty's gravel voice held no warmth. Tommy shrugged, mumbling about a garage sale D. The pawnbroker vanished into the back, emerging minutes later with a loop and a frown. "Real as they come, buddy. Flawless. Worth more than my whole damn inventory." He offered $2,000, peanuts. Tommy's jaw clenched. He pocketed the cash, but left the stone, heart racing as Rusty's gaze lingered too long on the door. Back home, the truck loomed in his driveway like a Pandora's beast. He welded the floorboard shut tighter than before, sparks flying in the twilight. But sleep evaded him that night, every creak of the trailer amplifying into footsteps. By morning, a black SUV idled across the street, tinted windows staring. Coincidence? Or had word leaked? Tommy's mind spun scenarios. Cartel drop gone wrong, insurance scam unraveling. He needed proof, real verification without tipping his hand. If this windfall's got your nerves frayed, smash that subscribe button for the escalating stakes. Drop a like if you're hooked. Share your wildest hidden treasure tale below, and shout out where you're tuning in, from dusty plains to neon Vegas. He hit up an old army buddy, Cal, now a gemologist in Dallas. "Meet me halfway, no questions," Tommy texted, voice memo shaky. The drive east on I-20 blurred into hours of white-knuckled vigilance, rear-view mirror his new best friend. Cal waited at a roadside diner, lab kit in tow. Under the buzzing fluorescence, they cracked open a pouch. Cal's face drained of color. "Tommy, these aren't just diamonds. They're conflict-free certified, traced to a vault heist up north. Serial numbers etched microscopic. You're holding fire." Tommy's world tilted. Not random loot, stolen from the elite, probably insured to the hilt. Cal pocketed a sample for tests, urging silence. Dump it. Walk away rich in regret. But Tommy couldn't. Visions of paying off debts, buying back his dignity, fueled him. Yet as he merged onto the highway home, that SUV reappeared in the mirror, closing the gap. Acceleration surged, engine roaring protest. Who were they? Scrappers turned hunters, or shadows from the truck's haunted past? Sweat beaded on his brow. One wrong turn, and the fortune could bury him. Acceleration bit into the asphalt, the old truck shuddering like a beast on its last legs. Jack Harlan's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, eyes flicking between the cracked rearview mirror and less ribbon of rural highway unspooling ahead. Those headlights behind him, 2 sets now, closing the gap with predatory precision, weren't random. Scrappers didn't chase like wolves. This smelled of something deeper, a secret clawing its way out from under the truck's rusted floorboards. The landscape blurred, endless cornfields baking under a relentless Midwest sun, silos standing sentinel like forgotten giants. Jack's mind raced faster than the engine. The diamonds, those flawless stones worth a king's ransom, hidden in the false bottom he'd pried open by accident 2 days ago, burned a hole in his thoughts. $298 million, enough to rewrite his life from scraps to empire. But now they were a magnet for trouble. Had someone seen him at the scrapyard, overheard his frantic whispers to himself? Or was it the truck's ghosts, legends whispered among junkers about cargo that vanished years back, smuggled across borders under moonless skies? A jolt rocked the cab as potholes hammered the suspension. Short breaths, heart pounding like a trapped animal. The lead pursuer surged closer, a black SUV gleaming ominously, dipping into his blind spot. Jack swerved right, gravel spraying like shrapnel. No time for plans, just survival. He mashed the pedal, coaxing another groan from the overtaxed motor. The gap widened slightly. 10 seconds, maybe 15. Enough to think? Memories flooded in staccato bursts. Jack, 42, broke and battered by factory layoffs in this dying Ohio town. Wife gone 5 years, kids scraping by in community college on loans he'd never repay. The $30 auction win was dumb luck. A gut hunch on a derelict box truck forgotten in the weeds. He'd hauled it home, torched the locks, started gutting it for scrap metal to pay the electric bill. Then the floor gave way. A panel shifted. Inside, velvet pouches heavy with cold fire. Diamonds. Perfect, uncut, screaming fortune, but secrets don't stay buried. Yesterday at the local diner, he'd let slip to old man Gus about striking gold. Gus, with his watery eyes and loose lips, or maybe the nosy clerk at the parts store where Jack bought welding torches to seal the compartment shut. Paranoia gnawed now, every shadow a suspect. Those SUVs, local muscle for hire, feds tracing a cold trail, or the original owners, phantoms from a long-ago score gone sour. The highway dipped into a shallow valley, trees crowding the shoulders like conspirators. Jack spotted salvation, a narrow farm road veering left, half hidden by overgrowth. Risky, but straight ahead. They'd box him in at the next town line. He yanked the wheel. Branches whipped the sides, the truck fishtailing on loose dirt. Dust plume erupted behind, buying seconds. The roar of engines faded slightly. He punched the dash in grim triumph. Not out yet. Deeper into the backroads now, the world shrank to ruts and rustling leaves. Sweat soaked his shirt, vision tunneling. He needed a plan beyond running. Dump the load. Too late. Worth too much. Sell quiet? To who? Black market whispers led to deeper pits. Fence it legit? Laughable. One appraiser call, and sirens would wail. No, Play it smart, hole up, research. His cousin in Cleveland knew gem circles, shady but connected, but trust, a gamble. Hours blurred into dusk. The truck limped into an abandoned quarry off Route 23, moon rising like a pale witness. Jack killed the lights, wedged the rig behind a boulder pile. Silence pressed in, broken only by crickets and his ragged breaths. He climbed into the cargo bay, flashlights sweeping the false bottom. The pouches gleamed, untouched. His jaws trembled as he pocketed a single stone. Insurance, proof. Weight of it burned like promise and curse. Footsteps? No, wind. But the mind played tricks. He barricaded the doors with scrap iron, phone clutched like a lifeline. No signal here. Perfect isolation. Or trap. Dawn would bring decisions. Sell small batches, vanish south. The fortune whispered temptations, each path laced with peril. If you're hooked on Jack's desperate ride, smash that like button, subscribe for the twists ahead, share this with a friend, and drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Your support keeps these stories rolling. Night deepened. Jack huddled in the shadows, ears straining for engines on the horizon. The diamonds waited, silent judges of his next move. One slip, and the dream shattered. But in the quiet, resolve hardened. He wasn't prey, not anymore. The hunters would come, and he'd be ready. Jack gripped the pry bar tighter, the metal cool against his sweat-slick palms. Shadows stretched long across the warehouse floor as dusk bled into night. He scanned the perimeter again, rusted chain-link fence, flickering sodium lights from the highway. No movement. Yet. The false bottom yawned open like a secret mouth, diamonds glinting faintly under his flashlight beam. $298 million worth. Enough to rewrite his life, from scraping by on day labor gigs, sleeping in motels that smelled of mildew and regret, to this. Freedom. But first, survival. He'd spent the afternoon rigging defenses, motion sensors from a hardware store run, cheap, jury-rigged to his phone, extra locks on the truck's rear doors, a back exit through a loose panel in the wall leading to the scrubland beyond. No guns, he wasn't that man, just wits and desperation sharpened to a razor's edge. A low rumble pierced the quiet. Engines. Distant, but closing. Jack killed the light, heart thudding like a war drum. He slipped behind a stack of crates, breath shallow, peered through a gap. 3 black SUVs rolled up to the gate, tires crunching gravel. Men piled out, 6, maybe 7, built like linebackers, moving with practiced silence. One carried a duffel, another scanned with a handheld device. They knew about the compartment, had to. The leader barked orders, voice clipped, Eastern European accent cutting the air. Check the V in first. If it's here, tear it apart. Jack's mind raced. How'd they track it so fast? The auction lot, a GPS tag? No time. He thumbed his phone to record, positioning it to catch faces. Evidence. His ace. They sliced the lock with bolt cutters. Floodlights hit, bathing the truck in harsh white. The leader climbed aboard, probing the floor. A grunt. It's Pride. Someone's been inside. Tense murmurs. Footsteps circled. Jack pressed against the wall, pulse roaring in his ears. One wrong creak, and it ended. His phone buzzed silently, alert. Motion at the rear fence. Another team flanking. Sweat trickled down his spine. He edged toward the loose panel, diamonds still half exposed. Couldn't leave them. Not yet. Spread out, the leader snapped. He's close, probably watching. Jack froze. They knew he existed. A flicker of pride amid the terror. He wasn't invisible anymore. He scooped a handful of stones into his backpack, zipped it shut. Light as air, heavy as fate, slid the panel aside inch by inch. Desert wind whispered through, carrying sagebrush scent. Freedom, 50 yards out. A shout from the truck. Compartment's empty, most of it! Boots pounded, flashlights swept. Jack dove into the night, crawling low through thorns that snagged his jeans. Thorns bit skin, but he bit back the sting. rolled under a bush as beams crisscrossed overhead. Tracks! West side! Pursuit. Engines revved. Jack sprinted, backpack bouncing, lungs burning. The highway loomed, semis whooshing past. He vaulted the ditch, flagged one down, a hauler with Florida plates. "Help!" he gasped. "Trouble back there!" The driver eyed him, then the pursuing lights. "Hop in! Fast!" Jack climbed aboard, door slamming as tires peeled out. In the mirror, SUVs scattered like wolves denied prey, for now. Dawn broke over a roadside diner 2 states away. Jack nursed black coffee, backpack chained to his wrist. He'd fenced a single carrot overnight through a shady contact from his old construction days. Enough for cash, burner phone, bus tickets. The rest, hidden in vacuum-sealed pouches, buried under a mile marker he'd memorized. But the hunters wouldn't stop. Questions burned. Who hid the diamonds? A syndicate? Corporate smugglers? He'd hacked public records on the truck's history, stolen from a jewelry convoy years back, vanished into legend. Now real, in his hands. A news alert pinged his phone. Mystery theft at industrial yard. Authorities investigating. They'd spin it, make him the thief. Paranoia clawed deeper. Trust no one. Move smarter. He stared at the horizon, resolve like steel cable. The game shifted. He had pieces now, value they craved, leverage. But shadows lengthened again. A sedan pulled into the lot, idling, watching. Jack slipped out the back, vanishing into the truck stop bustle. The chase twisted onward. Diamonds whispered promises, or curses. If this tension's got you hooked, smash that like button, subscribe for the explosive ale, and drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Share with a friend who needs this edge-of-your-seat vibe. Jack's hands trembled as he pried the last panel loose, the metallic groan echoing in the dim garage like a whispered secret unraveling. There, nestled in foam-lined compartments, sparkled the fortune, facets catching the single bulb's glow, each stone a silent promise of escape from his threadbare existence. $298 million worth, appraisals later confirmed, vanished from a high-stakes vault heist months ago. But ownership, that was the shadow lurking beneath the gleam. He'd driven the truck home from the scrap auction in rural Ohio, its rusted shell a steal at $30, Rust Belt dreams deferred, factory closures, evictions, a daughter named Ellie scraping by on diner tips 2 states away. Jack sealed the D shut, heart pounding like a faulty engine. Sell it piecemeal? Risky whispers to shady contacts could summon wolves. Report it? Bureaucrats would swallow it whole, leaving crumbs if any. Nights blurred into paranoia, footsteps outside his trailer, a black SUV idling at the gas station. Victor Kane, the ghost from news clips, sharp-suited fence with ties to the syndicate that lost the haul. Kane's eyes, cold as polished obsidian, had locked on Jack during a routine parts run. Coincidence? Jack bolted the truck's doors, triple time, sleeping with a tire iron under his pillow. Dawn broke grey and relentless. Ellie called, voice frayed. "Dad, the landlord's circling again. I can't..." Click. Enough. Jack wired the panels open 1 time. Stones glinting like accusations. He scooped a handful into a sock, the weight both anchor and wings. The rest? He photographed meticulously, timestamps etched in pixels, a burner phone to the FBI tip line, anonymous coordinates to the truck's location, pinned on a back-road lot. "Property of the people," he muttered, engine roaring to life. But Kane moved faster. Tires screeched as Jack merged onto I-71, the SUV materializing in his mirror. No plates visible. Pulse racing, Jack floored it, the old Ford pickup groaning under protest. Short bursts of speed, weave through semis. Exit ramp sharp as a blade. Kane closed, grill like jaws. Jack veered into cornfields, stalks whipping the windshield. The sock of stones bounced on the seat. Think, survive. He skidded into an abandoned silo yard, dust clouding the air. Kane's vehicle blocked the sole path out. Door creaked open. Victor stepped forth, silk tie askew, flanked by two shadows in leather jackets. "Heard you got something of mine, Harlan? $30 for my retirement fund? Generous." Jack gripped the wheel, voice steady despite the quake inside. "Those keepers ain't the law, Kane. Cops are en route. Walk." Kane chuckled low and gravelly. "Cops take their cut. I take everything." He advanced, hand slipping pocketward. Jack's foot hovered over the gas. No heroes here. Just survival math. He gunned it straight at the SUV, feinting left. Kane dove aside as Jack clipped the bumper, spinning the beast into a ditch. Reverse. Forward. Chaos of crunching metal. Shadows scattered. Jack punched it free, tires spitting gravel, vanishing into the maze of fields. Hours later, sirens wailed distantly. Jack ditched the pickup at a rest stop, sockstones tucked inside his jacket. FBI swarmed the truck by noon, hauling the horde under federal seal. Kane vanished into the ether, whispers of indictments trailing him like smoke. Jack crossed into Pennsylvania under dusk's veil, bus ticket to Ellie's doorstep. The stones, pawned discreetly in fragments over months, enough for a modest home down payment, her college tuition squared away, no yachts, no headlines, just quiet leverage against the void. Years on, Jack tinkered in a paid-off garage, Ellie thriving as a nurse, the truck's ghost, a faded auction photo on his wall, reminder of gambles won through grit, not grace. Fortune favors the calculated, he figured, and in the rear view, shadows never quite caught up. If this twist had you gripping your seat, hit that like, subscribe for more pulse-pounding tales, and comment below. Where'd you watch from? Share the rush.